Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. Welcome to this Raw Travel webinar about walking across the UK. I'm Marcus. I'm the UK Destination Manager at Raw Travel.
And hello, I'm Leanne. I'm the UK Destination Specialist.
And we are very lucky to have a special guest tonight, our coast-to-coast guide extraordinaire and ground support, Heidi, coming in live from the UK.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi everyone.
Hi. So tonight we're going to be sharing with you some insights and tips on the Coast to Coast Path and Hadrian's Wall Path. Stay tuned along the way. There will be some spot prizes. Pay attention. And if you have any questions, there is a chat box. You can put your questions in there. We'll try to answer some questions at the end of the webinar if we have time. So let's get started.
Yes. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with Raw Travel, we are the established experts in walking holidays all over the world with over 20 years experience of creating unforgettable walking adventures.
We introduced the Coast to Coast Path to the Australian market almost 10 years ago, and it's one of the 7 trails we operate across the UK. So let's get onto the Coast to Coast Path. This path is iconic path in the north of England.
Heidi, what can you tell us?
So it's quite a long trail. It's 306 kilometres and it goes all the way from St Bees on the west to Robin Hood's Bay on the east coast. So you go from the Irish Sea to the North Sea. It was made famous by a guy called Alfred Wainwright, who devised the route in 1973. His ethos was it was important to take time to stand there and stare. So there's lots of views to be had on the whole trail. It became a national trail last year, and there's been £6 million spent on it. So there's been a lot of updating of waymarking signs, and also sort of the trail underfoot has had a lot of updating too. So yeah, lots of exciting things to come for the trail, I think.
Wow, that leads us into why you should walk the trail. It really is one of the best long distance trails in the world, traverses a country. As Heidi said, it's just become a national trail, but it's been for a long time one of the most iconic walks.
So on this trail, you will experience 3 spectacular national parks with ever-changing scenery, which does change every day.
It's not just all about the scenery either. You stay in some really charming little villages and historic market towns. You get to spend some time in local pubs, and you get to experience the classic traditional warm northern hospitality. And I have to say that because I'm also northern.
We wouldn't guess by your accent at all. No clues there with the way you say pub.
One of the best things about doing one of these long distance trails is that you walk the same way and you tend to meet a lot of people who are traveling alongside you. There's great camaraderie on the trail. And you end up in one of those pubs, I'll say it the Australian way, pubs at the end of the day. It's a great sense of community along the trail.
It really is. And you do get to finish this trail with an unforgettable sense of achievement. An interesting fact, the total elevation gain is the same as climbing Mount Everest. So that's an amazing achievement.
It's pretty impressive.
So here we are to show you a map. This gives you a bit of perspective as to where the trail is located in England. So it's up in the north and it crosses the country from the west to the east. So yeah, this trail offers you quite a bit of diversity, a variety of terrain, and you get to experience some different levels across the path of challenge.
So the trail starts on that yellow dot over on the west coast in a place called St Bees, tiny little village by the sea. There's some of our excited customers waiting to start their walk. One of the traditions is that in St Bees, you go down to the beach, you pick up a pebble. I believe these are painted pebbles, some of those. They're not authentic, naturally occurring St Bees pebbles. But you pick up one of those.
Choose a small one so you don't dislike it halfway along. I took a backup pebble as well.
Oh, right.
In case I lost it, so I wouldn't
very smart, yes. Top tip there.
Yeah. So Heidi, can you tell us
So
a bit about the trail markers along the way?
yeah, so as I said, with the money that's been spent on the trail, a lot of that has gone into coast to the way markers. So the top two pictures you see there are examples of the newer trail markers. As you can see, they're very shiny and new. The bottom
Mm,
two are, one on the left is much older. They appear on the North York Moors part of the trail, which is the latter part, and they waymark all across the moors. That one particular is called the face stone. It's actually engraved into the stone the shape of this face, and they're
mm,
hundreds of years old. The one on the right, not quite so old, but they are sort of the older style trail marks. As you see, there's an AW in the middle of that one, which is for Alfred Wainwright even.
mm,
Some sections of the trail are marked better than others. So
mm,
the dales and the moors, so the sort of latter two parts, are definitely more
mm.
marked than the lake section. Especially up when you're in the mountains, you won't see much at all by way of waymark, so you have to be on your navigation game at those points.
Yeah.
Excellent. Heidi just mentioned the lakes, the dales, and the moors, and those are the three national parks that are covered by this route. So as you see from this map, you start off in the Lake District over on the left there. The central area is the Yorkshire
Mm.
Dales, and you finish walking through the North York Moors. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about these three different sections because they are quite
They're
diverse.
quite different.
Yeah.
So it's good to sort of focus on the differences.
So let's start with the Lake District.
Yeah, so this is definitely the most challenging section of the three national parks, and the exact challenge can be different for different people. So the challenge for some people is that you're straight into these big juicy hills. There's quite a bit of elevation gain and drop on each day. It is quite open, it's exposed, it's expansive. If you get bad weather, it could be rainfall or low fog, there's pretty much nowhere to hide. As Heidi mentioned, the signage is quite limited, as you want it to be in a beautiful national park.
Yeah, it's authentic.
Yeah, so you do need to have some navigation skills. For some people, the challenge can be it is quite rocky underfoot. I found the walking to be quite technical. You do watch your feet a bit. For some people, the challenge can be that there are no get out points. So once you start walking for a day, you need to complete your walking for the day. It's different to something like the Camino where you can just get to the next village and call a taxi. You can't do that in the Lake District. So, yeah, there's some juicy hills in there, but you certainly get that reward for effort with these amazing views.
It's a beautiful view, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So, Heidi, you've guided this trail a number of times. What do you think are the main challenges that people face, and how do they overcome them?
I think Leanne has kind of touched upon the points that people find most challenging. Certainly, the elevation and the terrain are two of the main ones, and obviously they can be made harder by bad weather, which unsurprisingly we get quite a lot of in the north of England. So yeah, if you have that rain, that wind, that low cloud, especially if there's not a view at the end of a big hill, then that can be quite demoralizing. However,
Yeah.
you know, you get to the end of the day and you still have that sense of achievement. And often I've found people say that the days that they felt the most sense of achievement were the days that were really hard weather-wise.
Yeah,
And they said, you
agreed.
know what, we got it through it and we did it. And even in those crazy conditions like sideways
Yeah.
hail. And
Yep.
they actually that turns into a highlight of their trip, which you
Yeah.
wouldn't think. But yeah, I've certainly experienced that.
Yeah.
One
Yeah, and
good
what?
thing about what we have in the lakes, especially, is we do offer a guide on our third day.
Mm,
If you're doing it self-guided, that is the first proper Lake District day. So it's the first time you'll experience that rugged terrain, potentially low cloud weather, all those things. So that guide is there to be used and abused. Ask them as many questions as you like. Get to know them, use their knowledge of that area to kind of get to grips with what to expect further down the trail.
yeah.
They're all friends of mine. I know them all well. The guides, I also do some of those days. They're great guides. Lovely
Yeah, we get
people.
amazing
They really
feedback
use them.
from.
Yeah.
We get amazing feedback about those
We
guys.
consistently get amazing feedback. I often get emails at the end of that day of people just loving it so much. And it really does set people up for a successful hike.
So your guide's going to get you in safely to Rothwaite, leave you there. There's a couple of the accommodations we use in Rothwaite just
beautiful.
there. Yeah. So finish your day surrounded by mountains, put your feet up, have a lovely meal, get into a nice, snug, warm bed. And of course, we had to include a sheep picture.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. We love the Herdwick sheep.
Yeah, aren't they cute? These little guys start off black and they change to grey as they get older. Very unique to the Lake District. I think 90% of the total population is in Cumbria or around the Lake District. So cute.
They are gorgeous. So the next village you can see here is Grasmere. So this is a real highlight of the trip as well. There's well-known things like Sarah's Gingerbread Shop. There's William Wadsworth's grave for the literature fans amongst us. Some people choose to have a rest day here. There's also outdoor shops if your raincoat is not holding up and you need to grab another one. You can go and visit Windermere or Ambleside. It's a gorgeous English village surrounded all around by mountains. It's a really famous place for good reason.
Looks beautiful. And on the next slide, we've included some pictures that are maybe less beautiful. Some rather interesting.
Still beautiful, just in a different way.
Different sort of beautiful. Yes. So of course, as we mentioned before, you are in the mountains. Things can change very quickly. Fog can set in. Bit of rain and a nice little rivulet can turn into a waterfall. Heidi, I believe that's you in that picture reaching across the river.
It certainly is.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Or,
So
too traumatic.
Too traumatic. So yeah, this was a group last year, I believe. So we'd had a very wet day. It had been wet the first and the second day of walking, and as you can see, the rivers do swell very quickly in the mountains. As you can imagine, it's all coming off the hill down into these valleys. So that river in particular, I believe they're putting a bridge in. So if you're walking next year, you never know. You might have a bridge to cross it.
You might not need Heidi to carry you.
That's one of the worst times I've had to cross that river, actually. So that's worst case scenario.
That's extreme.
On the left you can see that's a climb out of a valley called Borrowdale. It is one of the wettest places in England. So yeah, the lakes can be pretty wet, and generally if it's in for the day. So yeah, you definitely need those really good wet weather gear, and also all those warm layers, because that makes a big difference. If you've got wet through and you can just put on a nice snug warm layer, then that's great.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, moving along, we're going to head into the next national park. It's the Yorkshire Dales.
The Yorkshire Dales. So this is where you leave those big mountains behind of the Lake District, and the scenery softens a bit and you get more of the rolling green hills, limestone valleys, you get those English dry stone walls, more cute English villages, and the traditional farmland.
So the picture you can see here is at the top of the first climb out of Kirby Stephen. So it's the first bit of the Yorkshire Dales proper. This is called Nine Standers Rig. The Nine Standers are these stone cairns you can see here. No one really knows what they are for or why they're there. But they've been there for sort of 500 years. The tallest, I think, stands at 3 meters now, but they think it may well have been a lot taller, maybe 5 meters tall at one point. But this actually marks the watershed for the water that goes down to the North Sea and the water that goes down to the Irish Sea. So yeah, it's quite an iconic point of the walk.
How does the walking compare here to what they've just come off in the lakes, Heidi?
So it is very different walking wise. Some would say it's easier. It can certainly be boggier, wetter underfoot. But it's a lot of farmland, so a lot of fields, a lot of grass, which can, as I say, turn quite muddy and boggy at points. You see the people here, they're stood by a cowhouse or a cow house. These are stone barns that are very iconic to the area. You'll see them dotted around all over the place. You'll be walking through Swaledale, which is a massive, long valley for the majority of your time in the Yorkshire Dales, which is really stunning, very iconic. as you'd think of pastoral sort of farmland. You'll
Mm.
also, the picture here is depicting the Muka wildflower meadows. It's one of the best versions, or what word am I trying to say? Example of these sort of wildflower meadows that we have left. Once upon a time, there'd have been lots of them. These days, because of sheep grazing, there's not so many. But if you come in sort of May, June time, you'll get the full spectacle of them, which is great.
Beautiful.
The good news about coming off 9 standards, so the picture at the start there, it used to be a very, very boggy day, but they have actually, as part of the trail updating, put in paving all the way down there now, which makes it a much quicker, much easier day.
Sounds lovely, yes. Anyway, still some walking to be done, and by the time you get into Richmond, you'll be ready for another rest day. So it's Kirby Stephen there on the left and Richmond on the right, which is a bigger city, a good place to kind of stop, do your walk,
maybe a washing.
Yeah, you know, if you need to. Yeah, there's great food in Richmond. It's famous for its castle and also the UK's oldest working theatre, the Georgian Theatre Royal as well. So you can spend a whole day there, or you can just put your feet up and rest.
Yeah.
That brings us to the North York Moors, which is the final section of the path, the last national park. This section crosses vast expanses of purple heather if you go in August. Otherwise, you might just get regular heather, not fully in bloom. There's some beautiful woodlands, and you get some open ridges. You get great views looking right across the country.
Yeah, I love this section. So, Heidi, can you tell us about the terrain here again, what it's like underfoot, what the elevation's like, and what to expect in this national park?
Yeah, sure. So, as you can see by this picture, as Marcus said, it's much more open. You've got kind of, think Wuthering Heights, wide open moorland. Can be a little bit bleak, but you do tend to get better weather on the east side of the trail, so it is often quite a lot drier. You initially go up. This picture is of the Cleveland Hills, so you're actually on another national trail for a good part of the North York Moors, which is called the Cleveland Way, which has actually been a trail for much longer than the coast to coast, which means that it's been really well maintained. So you get quite a lot of paved or stepped sections, and it has generally been looked after pretty well. So the walking is it's all right. However, I will say that there is a bit of a sting in the start of this section. It is quite hilly. There's lots of steep ups and steep downs on this section. So yeah, just something to be aware of, that it's not all in the lakes. There are some bits in other sections. So this is an example of the top of one of these said hills. So this is the Wainstones. It's quite an iconic rock formation. There's not very many rocky outcroppings in the whole of the national park, so this is quite unusual for the terrain. It's one of the highest points in the Cleveland Hills, so it's one of the highest points on your walk as well, in the North York Moors. So yeah, you get up to about 400 meters, I think, one of the hills that you hit. So yeah, still quite a lot of elevation on those days.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite days, actually. I love that day.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Now this picture here shows you where the trail finishes. So you have a really beautiful descent down into the seaside village of Robin Hood's Bay, and that first glimpse of the ocean is pretty exciting to know you've made it across the country. So yeah, it's a pretty good feeling when you see the ocean, and that last 6 or 8 Ks, I think it is, as you wind down into Robin Hood's Bay. It's so many dramatic clifftop views. It's a beautiful day of walking.
And here's Robin Hood's Bay itself, a lovely little quaint village, fishing village. Does have links to Robin Hood, apparently. Make of that what you will. Tiny little laneways, and there goes the pebble into the sea, of course. Someone's crossed the country, carried the pebble, managed not to lose it across the way.
Or the backup pebble.
The backup pebble, yeah, maybe. And it's got a really great atmosphere, this town, because it's just full of people who have finished the walk and they're elated. So everyone's hanging out in Wainwright's Bar and toasting their achievements.
And it's a wonderful place to celebrate your achievement with fellow walkers and throw your pebble.
Yeah. So who should walk this trail, Heidi?
So this is definitely not a beginner's walk. So if this is your first ever long distance hiking trail, it's probably not for you. There is, lots to contend with. There's navigation skills needed. So I believe Marcus has examples of guidebooks and things there that he can hold up. So yeah, it is a long old trail, this one as well, with difficult terrain, lots of elevation, that sort of thing. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. You will get to experience mountainous environments, so it's very much a hiker's hike. Your fitness level definitely needs to be good. You need to be good on the hills, and that's saying that it's not just the uphills, it's also the downhills.
Yeah.
You need to
hard
make
on the
sure your
knees.
knees are in good shape. Yeah, so a good commitment to getting fit before the trail is definitely something to consider. If you don't have time for that, then it's probably not the trail for you. So yeah, all those things, definitely things to bear in mind. A good sense of humor definitely is needed,
Agreed.
especially on those tough weather days. It's not just plain sailing weather-wise. So yeah, being able to just laugh it off at the end of the day over a beer is definitely needed. The sort of age range you tend to see is between 40 to 70. That's not exclusive, obviously, but it tends to be the demographic that we see the most of. Obviously, what we offer from our side to sort of advise you whether it is the right thing for you. Leanne's great. You can have a good chat to her. She's there to support you. And then we can, have a chat and sort of talk about the things that you need to consider in a bit more detail.
Excellent. And we have those resources, like our destination guide, our training guide. We've got articles we write, and we're happy to talk you through if it's the right walk for you or not. So we're also going to go into a bit more detail about what we offer. So we have fully guided groups where you may have Heidi or one of her wonderful colleagues. So we have 2 departures in 2027, one in May and one in August, and we usually take a maximum of 10 people. Another option you have is self-guided groups where we've got some fixed dates. We have 2 of these groups next year as well. So we've pre-booked the accommodation. You have that flexibility to walk on your own, walk with others in the group, but you've got familiar faces at night time for dinner, which is nice. And we also do self-guided, custom-booked itineraries. So you can choose your start date. We'll talk you through bank holidays or festivals you need to know about. And we've done itineraries anything from 16 up to 28 days. So we talk to you about your ability. But our most popular trip would be a 20-day itinerary with 2 rest days, an arrival and departure day, and then you've got 16 walking days.
Excellent. So included in your tour, you of course get your accommodation booked, you'll get your luggage transported, so you're only walking with a day pack, you'll get our app. And of course, one of the main benefits of doing this coast-to-coast walk with Raw Travel is you get your guide on day 3. And as we mentioned, that really sets you up for the rest of the trail. You can get all the advice, learn all the tricks, the insights. So that's really beneficial.
Yeah.
You also get this book, which I've got here. I just want to hold it up again.
And breakfast, did you mention breakfast? That's something that
of course, you get breakfast.
And it's a very good breakfast in the UK. It's very hearty. And I always say go hard at breakfast. Set yourself up. Lots of protein for a day out on the trail. It's ridiculous how much I eat in the UK for breakfast.
Full English. All right. So, it's time for a spot prize. At this point, we're going to say thank you very much to Heidi. Thanks for getting up really early and joining us and giving us all that wonderful advice and insights.
Yes, thank you, Heidi. We appreciate your knowledge and skills.
All right. So,
I hope to see some of you out on the trail.
Wonderful. Thanks, Heidi.
Thanks, Heidi. Our spot prize. All right. So you can put your answers into the chat down the bottom. The question we have for you is, where does the coast-to-coast path start and end? What are those start points and end point on the trail? So our little elves behind the scenes are working away.
They're watching the chat box to see who's the first to respond. And this is where we get a nice little pause.
Yeah, have a drink of tea.
Yes. seeing if we've got we're waiting for a thumbs up to see if we've got a winner. Yes.
Winner. All right.
Winner.
Okay. So you need to
shoot us an email.
Yeah, shoot us an email. info@rawtravel.
.com.
info@rawtravel.com. Try that one.
And
the winner is it's Lee.
Lee, wonderful.
Oh, well done.
Well done, Lee.
He might have done some research before.
Well, I think he has. I think he's heading out very soon. Well done, Lee.
Fantastic. Oh, sorry, our prize. You're going to get a pair of gaiters.
Yes.
That'll come in quite handy.
They
especially
will.
if you want to walk off the paving stones.
And play in the mud.
All right, so that's kind of the end to our coast to coast section, but we have a lot more, so please stay tuned. We're moving on to Hadrian's Wall Path. Now, if you were watching this bit about the coast to coast and you thought, yeah, it looks great, but I'm not sure my knees are up to that, or I don't know, maybe I don't want to walk for 20 days, maybe say around 10 would be better. Hadrian's Path is a really good option. It's got some similarities. The main one, of course, being that it also traverses England.
Exactly right.
So you can cross from one side to the other, from Newcastle to Carlisle, or from Carlisle to Newcastle.
Yes.
So you can walk it in both directions.
Yeah, so this one's also in the north of England. It's a bit further north than the coast to coast path. So as Marcus mentioned, you can start in Newcastle across to Carlisle, or you can do Carlisle across to Newcastle. There's 2 major train lines in the UK that link up the south and the north, and both of these one passes through Carlisle and one passes through Newcastle. So it's really accessible.
Yeah, you can get there from anywhere. All right, so why would you walk the Hadrian's Wall Path? It's a walk across England, like the coast to coast, but it is far less challenging.
It is, yeah. This one's 135 kilometres as opposed to 306. So it's around half the length. Yeah. And we typically do this as a 10-day itinerary rather than the 20 days. So Hadrian's Wall Path is also a national trail. So it's had that trail maintenance there as well.
The terrain underfoot is going to be a lot easier than on the coast to coast. They're well-worn paths. As you can see there, you're walking through rolling fields, but nothing too challenging. You're not going to get the steep up and downs that you get in the Lake District. And the other good thing is navigation is kind of easier because you are following a wall.
Yes, that helps. And there's a lot of signage out in this path as well. So, some people are drawn to this walk for the history. Whether it's the wall itself or the historic forts you see along the way. Yeah,
and you do get some wonderful views as you go along. Views, if you're there on a good day, seeing all the way into Scotland.
Yeah, when you're up on that ridge line in that middle section there, it's absolutely beautiful.
But, of course, one of the main draw points is history. So Hadrian's Wall was built by the Romans during the occupation, as probably a lot of people know. Started back in 122 AD. During the reign of Emperor Hadrian. We doubt he put very much effort into the actual construction of the wall, but he gets his name on it just because he was the emperor. Seems a bit unfair. None of it is actually standing to its full height because it's been around a long time, and those stones that we used to build it were also very useful for building other things. So actually some of the farmhouses you pass will be built out of these rocks, and roads you're walking on may have been paved originally with stones from the wall.
So there's a number of forts that you can see along the way, which, they're open to the public to visit as well.
Yeah, and that's a Mile Castle, I believe.
Yeah.
In that picture, and they're dotted along the way as well. So you see quite a few of those.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, you're not going to get the intense slopes that you're finding in the Lakes District or maybe the Cleveland Hills, but there is some more challenging sections, some steeper sections. How did you find those stairs?
Yeah, look, that was, I included this picture here. That's around the Steel Rig section in the middle. So there's probably around 3 days in the middle. This walk is really flat either end, in fact, completely flat, but there are some hills in the middle. And, those steps are quite short-lived, so they're certainly steep. I had my poles out on that particular day, but you might be walking up for 10 minutes rather than climbing a big mountain pass. So it's not as challenging. Can be steep in sections, but fairly short-lived, the steep sections.
And here's another sheep picture, just because
because they're cute.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of sheep and cows on this walk,
Yeah.
actually, because you are walking through those fields.
a lot of farmland.
Yes.
Don't walk on the wall
Never
as well,
walk on
please.
the wall.
Unless you're a sheep, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
And on this walk, there is a lot more infrastructure. You are a lot closer to civilization than, say, you would be out in the dales or the moors.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because when we talked about the Coast to Coast path where there's no get out cards, on this walk it's a little bit different. So you're out on the trail, but you're never too far away from the road. So there's local buses. There's actually the AD 122 bus, which supports the trail. So it's a lot easier to shorten a day of walking, or if you walk halfway and think I can't go on.
The weather's terrible.
Yeah, you can get to transport, call a taxi, and you're never too far away from the road.
That's the lovely historic town of Brampton there.
I love Brampton.
I loved once or twice brewed.
Yeah.
The question is it once brewed or is it twice brewed?
Yeah.
And it depends on which side of the village you come in from, because the signs are different on both ends.
Yeah.
But
it's a beautiful spot here. I mean, when you look out the window of your room, you literally just see hills and sheep all around you. But I'm not sure if you can see in that picture on the left there, which mentions here twice brewed in on this day in something or other, nothing happened. So it's a quirky little spot, and it's a bit of a standalone pub that people go and visit as a destination.
And a brewery.
Yeah.
It's worth a visit just for that, in my opinion. So, and it's not going to be all farmland. You do get a lot of variety on this trail. This is near Heading on the Wall. It's beautiful little section. There is a bit near Wylam if you're walking to Wylam, where it's an old railway line from the coal times. So there's a lot of diversity as well.
Some forest sections, and it's a really lovely walk.
So who can walk this one?
Yeah, well, certainly the navigation is easier. It's been a national trail since 2003, so there is a lot more signage on this path, and you do have the wall to follow in that middle section. The slopes are a lot more gentle. It's definitely an easier trail. One thing I love about this trail is the honesty boxes, and there's coffee vans along the way. There's cafes in those Roman forts I mentioned. So there's it's fun when you come around the corner and find another little coffee van there as a nice little surprise.
Nice, isn't it?
It is.
Unfortunately, not up the top of one of the peaks in the Lake District.
No.
Coffee van up there. So the ways to do this walk, we don't offer any guided tours on this. So you can do a self-guided tour in either direction. Why would you walk in one direction or the other?
That's a good question, and that's a question we get asked. So some people favour going from Carlisle across to Newcastle because of the prevailing winds. Some people favour going the other direction. There's rumours that the colours in the sky might be better walking from Newcastle across to Carlisle. I mean, that depends when you're doing the walk. Obviously, if it's August, it won't be getting dark until 10 p.m, so you'll be tucked into bed or by then. Or in the pub.
Yeah.
So, but look, there's different arguments. Sometimes it really depends what fits into your holiday plans better. But we probably get half people going one way and the other half going the other way. You can also add a rest day at Twice Brewed in the middle of the walk. And some people do that if they want to go and have the opportunity to visit Vindolanda, which is one of the most famous of the forts. So, either direction, it's a really lovely walk.
Yeah, excellent. And again, on this walk, you'll get our all accommodation booked. You get the luggage transfers. You get breakfast, which is very important to Leanne. You get access to the app, and you have a on-call support person in the UK, as you've just met, Heidi.
And we send out your luggage tags and your buffs to support your walk as well. You've got us with guidance, and when we customise this walk for you, it's about balancing the kilometres as well, so you have the best possible walk. And we plant a tree for every walker.
Because we're a B Corp.
We are.
All right. Oh, it's time for another spot
prize.
So up for grabs, not a pair of gaiters this time, but a pair of hiking socks. So if you need a good pair of hiking socks, and hiking socks are very important.
They are very important
when you're out on the trail. So closest wins. How long is the Hadrian's Wall path?
Another moment to pause.
Yeah. Take another sip of tea. Well, they got it exact.
I think we might have a winner. We're waiting for our thumbs up.
Controversial, but there might be a beer.
Oh, Brod. Yay, Brod. Well done. Nice to have you here, Brod. Oh, you got it exact. Perfect.
Wow. Someone has been paying attention. That's good.
She's pretty good like that. Anyway, moving along, let's talk about the accommodation you have.
Yeah. I mean, this is quite important, isn't it?
It is very important. So we really value our accommodation providers. We use a mixture of small B&Bs. Sometimes it's small pubs, medium-sized hotels. It's a bit of a mixture along both of these paths.
Yeah. I mean, this is the famous line in at Blakey Ridge. You'll pass that on the coast to coast. If you get in early, you can stay there because it is the only thing around. There's
beautiful.
Nothing else on that hill.
Yeah, and it's the third oldest pub in the UK as well. So it's a pretty amazing place to stay with those really, I found the ceilings very low in there.
Yeah. So obviously the earlier you book in, the better chance you have of getting to stay at these
that's
best accommodations.
That's a good point, actually, because a lot of the villages are quite small on both of these walks. So some of them only have one place to stay. So it is certainly worth planning ahead if you can.
Yeah. And this is just one of our favourite guest houses. It's the Jolly Farmer B&B in Kirby Stephen. Favourite, maybe just for the cream teas.
She's pretty famous for her cream teas.
Yeah, the cream teas. Obviously, some of our guests there have really enjoyed their cream tea before going out onto the trail.
And this picture here is one of our wonderful B&B owners, David, who we absolutely love. He is such an example of the way our hosts look after you. He is incredibly passionate about the trail, and he has one of the original guidebooks there. Yeah. That's quite an old copy, but David's got one of the absolute original.
This is the revised edition, the original.
Yeah, he's a wonderful host, and that's another one of our walkers, Andy, with David. So, yeah, he's quite a character.
His level to service is amazing.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He'll pick you up from the trail, take you back to the guest house, and then take you back in the morning. It's lovely.
He's wonderful.
All right, we better move on to food because it's getting close to 7 o'clock and I'm getting hungry, especially looking at that.
Yeah, so this is one of the northern specialties, sticky toffee pudding. And after you've hiked all day, you've earned your pudding. So we had a walker once who was on a personal challenge to have sticky toffee pudding every night, so he could rate which one was the best.
That should be an official thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know, you can get your coast to coast official passport, but they should do a
toffee,
an official toffee challenge passport. That would be
great.
As Leanne has stressed time and time again, breakfast is very important, and you get breakfast every morning, often a full English if that's your thing. Pretty much all places cater to dietaries.
They're great in the UK.
No problem.
Yeah.
Vegetarian, vegan, so that's not a problem. A lot of these small guest houses, especially places which are off in the middle of nowhere, will provide packed lunches as well. So you can order your lunch when you get in. Or maybe a day before, and they'll have it ready for you on your departure, which is great when there's not going to be any supermarkets or anything along the way.
Exactly. Or sometimes when you're in a larger village, you have that option. If you don't feel like another lunch pack, you might go around to the co-op and organise a picnic for lunch. But you'll have all the information you need, so you know when the lunch packs are there. So we have to talk about the British pub food. The portions are huge, and there's always some pretty good. I found the food's improved so much in the UK.
Yeah. That's the bucket in Reef.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And we had to include one of your dog photos because
I love the dogs in the pubs. That one was actually taken at the Lion Inn in Blakey Ridge on the Coast to Coast path, and also we had to put a picture of the cider because after you've hiked all day, you've probably earned a crisp ale at the end of the day.
I think so on some of those hills, definitely. And these are the honesty sheds. Now, these are more of a thing on the Hadrian's Wall path. They haven't quite caught on. We hope they do on the Coast to Coast, but they're definitely all over the Hadrian's Wall path. So these are sheds set up. They're unattended. You just walk in, and as the name says, honesty sheds, honesty boxes. You put in your coins. I know a couple that take cards, but probably you want to carry some pound coins along with you. So you can get anything from hot drinks, cold drinks, ice cream, flapjacks, and
even dry socks.
Even dry socks.
If you get a grim day, you might find a dry pair of socks. They're great.
Blessing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're great, the honesty sheds.
All right. So the question is, when is it best to go?
Yeah, so the hiking season in the UK runs from April through to October, And the best time to go can sometimes be individual depending on what sort of weather you like to walk in. So April being the start of the season, October being the end of the season. So you can expect cooler weather during that time. Although when I was there in April last year, I was in a T-shirt every afternoon. So it can be a bit of a mixed bag. Daylight hours on either of these walks, even in April and October, you're still going to have till sort of 5:36. So plenty of daylight for walking. May is a popular time. It's one of the most popular times because you've got those longer daylight hours, you've got the warmer weather, and there's no school holidays then, but there are a couple of bank holidays which we help you work around. School holidays will be July and August, summertime, June, July, August. So these hikes work quite well even during those popular times. As we mentioned earlier, in August across the moors, you get the beautiful purple heather that comes out. And then, September once again is a bit like May. Yeah. It's a really popular time to go and beautiful weather.
So coming to the end, what to pack? We do have a full list on our website. We can send you the link out to that. But obviously, as we've kind of stressed, especially on the coast to coast, you need wet weather gear, you need all weather gear, you need warm layers. You need to be prepared for everything. Hiking boots, definitely.
I agree.
Hadrians might be comfortable in hiking shoes, but definitely on the coast to coast, you need a good pair of hiking boots. Poles are very useful.
Definitely. I always carry my poles and I certainly use them on both walks. We say the best quality wet weather gear you can afford and the obvious things like sunscreen, your water, your layers, hiking poles, but we can help you with all of that.
Yeah. So here's just a couple of our clients who have been out on the road. This is Deb with 5 of her friends, walked the coast to coast in June. And I love what she said. We're all back in Australia now, but it's only just sinking in that we've walked across England. I mean, that is quite an achievement, isn't it?
It is. It's a big deal.
Try walking across Australia and, it's a bit more of a challenge. So it's quite impressive. Anyway.
She also said, we have enjoyed a drink at the local pub after each day's walk and eaten countless cream teas. The best scones so far were at Elaine's farmhouse kitchen, and we had such a great chat and a laugh with her and her hubby. Very typical in our feedback.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Elaine's farmhouse kitchen will be on our app as well.
So it is. You can yes.
Look out for it as you're walking along. It'll be pinned. And Jen and friends walked Hadrian's Wall Path in June. This is them in Heddon on Wall at one of our nice little B&Bs. Just to let you know, we thoroughly enjoyed our walk across the English countryside from the west coast to the east along Hadrian's Wall. The accommodation was great and our luggage was always waiting for us each evening, and that is great, you know. Yeah. Luggage is there already. You just got your little backpack.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. So that brings us to pretty much the end, and we're going to try to jump over some questions, like you have to jump over these styles along the way. So this is a question from Jackie. What would you say is the demographic of your groups?
That's a good question. We do typically get a lot of people in that range of 60s, sometimes into early 70s, even 50s. We find that the groups are drawn together, not always on age, but on ability and what people are seeking from the walk. But if you had to say an average, I would say probably 60 might be a really average age. We do find in our fully guided groups, or even in our self-guided groups, we do get some solo travellers who want that support of other walkers out on the trail. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you make friends. I mean,
well, you're like-minded walkers, so they tend to work. We get, pretty good feedback.
I mean, we've had people on guided groups who now go off and walk together.
Exactly.
Who have met on some of these guided tours.
Exactly right.
Carry on.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving along, yeah.
Oh, we've got another question here.
Oh, yeah, we got a list.
So I'll with the guided trips, do you have many solo travellers? I think we accidentally answered that one before, but yeah, we certainly do. And on our fully guided groups, we book single rooms, so you can pay a single supplement to have your own room, but you can avoid that by being matched with another female traveller, for example. So you can do a twin share on that as well, which is popular.
All right. So Amanda's asked, how busy is the trail? How far in advance would I need to book to secure accommodation, etc., for 2 people?
That's a good question. We do like people to book in advance because it gives us the best opportunity to balance out your kilometres and get you accommodation right on the trail. So we love when we've got, 12 months plus notice. We find that as you get closer to departure, you may find that you need to consider a couple of accommodations off the trail. So the more notice, the better. And that's because of these villages where there's literally one place to stay. Yeah. So it does get a bit tricky when you get about 6 months out.
Oh, how is navigation in the Dales region on the coast to coast?
Yeah, I found it pretty good actually. I mean, I used the app through that area. I found the path actually a lot clearer because you weren't getting that rockiness underfoot in the Lake District. And that's an area where they've spent a lot more on the signage. So I saw a lot more signage through that part.
Yeah, and just to stress, you do have the Raw Travel app, so you can, if you think you're going the wrong way, you can get out your phone, have a look. There'll be a blue dot that marks you.
Yeah.
There'll be a line where the trail is, and you'll know if you've deviated off the trail.
Yeah, I found it pretty good in that area. And you've got your guidebook as well, so you're bringing together different skills. But yeah, I found it pretty good throughout that section especially.
All right, we've got one more question before we wrap up. Oh, no, we've got more questions. All right.
Okay, so this one, is it better to wear hiking boots or trail runners? And this is from Eric regarding Hadrian's Wall.
It's maybe a preference. I'd say definitely the coast to coast. You want that ankle support.
Oh, yeah.
Hadrian's, there are flat sections where the trail is not very challenging and you can manage in trail runners if you're comfortable. But
yeah, I think it's weather dependent as well. So when I did Hadrian's Wall, I found on those flat parts either end, I had dry weather. I wore my trail running shoes, which are very light. So I bring them as a second pair to give my feet a break. In the middle section, I love the support of boots.
Those stairs,
I love the ankle
some
support.
of those stairs can be a bit tricky as well. So a bit of that ankle support never goes astray.
So that's what I did. I mean, it can be personal choice and it can be conditions on the day. It can also be rainfall. If it's been raining the few weeks beforehand, the ground can be wetter underfoot. So for me, if I've got those tougher conditions, I always wear hiking boots. But my ankles are a bit average, so I prefer boots. So Marcus, we've got another question here from Liz.
I am gluten-free. Would there be food options for me?
Well, I am gluten-free and I'm happy to answer this one. So apparently 15% of people in the UK have some sort of food intolerance. So I felt very validated in the UK. When I ordered my lunch pack, when you tick the box for the bread, there's would you like white bread, brown bread, gluten-free bread? So there was no hoo-ha. I found it really easy on both of these trails to be gluten-free, which was awesome. I tend to carry some snacks as well from home just in case, but I actually find it easier in the UK to be gluten-free than I do here.
Yeah, amazing. Here's another one. If on a guided trip and a slow walker, does that cause a problem?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's why we work with you before the trip to make sure that you're understanding the challenge of the trail. The guides are very skillful at managing that sort of thing, but we do tend to find that the people who join these groups, we talk to you about your hiking experience, your fitness, your understanding of the trail to make sure that it's the right walk for you. So we do find the groups have similar ability people on the trail.
Yeah. Some people do walk slower than others.
That's amazing at managing it though.
Yeah, exactly.
They really are.
A lot of people like to take lots of photos like myself.
Yeah,
very slow.
Yeah.
Is there access to drinking water on the trail? Now, we probably should answer this in two parts, I think.
Yeah.
Hadrian's Wall, as you've seen from the honesty boxes, you cannot just get water. You can probably get a fizzy drink or a cup of coffee or something. They're quite well spaced along the trail.
Yeah.
So there's far more access to water. On the coast to coast.
Yeah, I found it pretty easy actually. I mean, I just find that, I will have my bladder full of 2 litres or so in the morning and I fill up where I can. So I didn't find any issue. I never had a day where I ran out of water. I just fill up where I can, whether it's cafe or there are some little water taps along the way, and I didn't find it an issue. But you do have to plan a little bit and be aware.
Coast to coast, in those mountainous sections.
You just fill up where you can, and you might come across there are huts and things that you pass through, and you fill up your water there.
Yeah, probably the best water you ever drink up there.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
All
right.
Would you recommend hiking poles?
Thank you, Liz. That's a good question. Yes, 100%. It's an absolute essential item on the Coast to Coast path. And I actually think it's an important thing to have even on Hadrian's Wall. So as you saw earlier, even for those steeper sections, walking up the steeper sections on a sunny day, you may not need the poles. But if it's raining, I have no interest in falling over. So I always carry my poles, even on a really easy path, because I like the stability of them and the extra help, especially coming down a hill.
Especially coming down. They're very useful as well. If you've got some sore knees, then they can be a blessing. One more question.
We're just waiting for that to come through.
Elves are working hard behind the scenes.
Thank you for staying with us through all these questions and information. It's a lot of words.
if there's any more questions, you want to put them in the chat, get them in now. If you have questions, but you don't want to type them now, or you can't think of them, you think of them, later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, you can always email us and give us a call.
Exactly.
Last question I think we have here, which is a really good one. Are there toilets along the Hadrian's Wall path? That's a very good question. So in some sections, no, there's not a lot. So you become quite strategic in terms of knowing to go into one of those. The Roman forts have toilets. There are some little cafes and things along the way. When you pass through a village, you might pop into the pub and go to the loo. But the reality is sometimes you have to find a tree. And it's a common question. We've even written an article on this, which is on our website. I can share with anyone if they want it. And it's pretty much called How to Pee Out on the Trail. So it's one of those important things to talk about. And we have that on our, well, that's right. So it's a bit of a combination. So there are some sections where there are not heaps, but
Yeah, we do have public toilets marked on the app as well.
We do.
If you plan ahead, you might not need to take that bushwee.
Yeah, but look, there are some sections. It's open, it's expansive, and there'd be nothing worse than seeing a toilet out on that beautiful scenery. So,
All right.
So I think that might be the end of our questions.
That's
and maybe
it.
the end of our information.
Yeah.
So we thank you, everybody, for sticking with us and joining us tonight to learn about these beautiful walks.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions that you didn't get in, the email address there, ukhikes@rawtravel.com.
And you can always give us a call. We're always up for a chat. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us.